are our stories. These are our realities. The Urban Impact Show is sponsored by Green & Wood Media Services. Green & Wood uses digital media to help businesses, political campaigns, and organizations grow while increasing their community impact. Green & Wood Media is pleased to offer a digital media buying fellowship to train, develop, and mentor young people interested in digital media, politics, and advertising. Learn more at greenandwoodmedia.com.
Yo, what's happening, everybody? Let me double check and make sure y'all can hear me. Check, check. We are all good. All right, so what's up, everybody? Matthew, which camera am I looking at? That one? All right. So shout out to you all. Thank you so much for watching. Welcome back to the Urban Impact Show. I am one of your hosts, Rob Johnson, and we got
Brittany Dudley
and
Dewana Bradley.
Miss Dewana Bradley and Brittany Dudley in the building today. We are live from the studio in Clive. Boy, it took me almost a year to get that.
That
right?
took a long time, yeah.
Winter Heights.
Oh my God! And you said Clive. Dang! I still got it wrong. That's funny.
You were confident
I
too.
was really confident in that one. Yeah, we're in Windsor Heights. We're at the studio in Windsor Heights. Thank you, Brittany. This space that where we are, you can book this space for private events. I may even have Eli's little birthday studio right
okay.
here.
That would be cool.
Thinking
Yeah.
about it, because I don't want,
You don't want everybody
Yeah,
showing up,
yeah, no, I don't.
limit space.
Yeah. But you can call or text with questions 515-996 0326.
Yep. Have we been here a year?
I know.
It has been
Well, almost about because we
it
came.
renewed.
That's right.
Renewed.
Yeah, that's
Shout
right.
out to Lauren Campbell, who is the owner and operator of this space, who has graciously partnered with the Urban Impact Show to help us continue to grow.
Yeah.
And what we're doing, as you all know, this show has come a long way.
Oh, yeah.
From janky backgrounds to live stuff, and I mean, look at the growth of everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even look at us right now.
Yeah.
Like when Matt and I started, it was me, Matt, Shekinah, and Hal, and Matt was just trying stuff. He had, Matt even had a foam inside of the ring, inside of a ring light, or a camera inside of the ring light at one of our events. And look at him now, man. I mean, this
Full
brother
studio
is-
production.
No, for real. Like, even these microphones, right? Like, it's just something completely different. The growth is completely
It's
different.
amazing.
Yep.
It really, really,
really
is.
is.
So thank y'all. Thank you
Yeah.
to the team. Shout out to us. We getting ready to cross 50,000 people reached
That's
here in
big.
just a
Yeah.
little bit.
That is
But now that we done brought this show in, before we get started, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Share this. And we're back. So, Dewana, what are we talking about today?
Today, we're talking about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So,
Speaking of life,
yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say, those are the three things that keep coming to my mind. I wrote an article about it in the magazine, too.
You looked exactly like Nautica when you just turned and did.
Did I?
I was like, oh my God, Nautica.
Nautica, wait. This is Dewana or Nautica?
Yeah.
Wait a second.
You looked exactly like her. Wow.
We have the same voice, too. So, yeah, we're in the same, but... No, with it being 4th of July, or tomorrow it'll be 4th of July, and just thinking about those phrases, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So if I'm a history person, so I love history, and those are the three lines that are in the Declaration of Independence. Mm-hmm. And what I just started thinking about was thinking of what was being thought of at that time. Mm-hmm. And as many people know, the Declaration of Independence is like our breakup from British rule. Mm-hmm. You know, that was like this is the statement to say we're done with you, and we're moving on.
Respectfully.
Yeah, respectfully moving on, but we've had enough. And I think about this whole thing about, do Black folks celebrate 4th of July or not, and all of this, and I'm just, so, I'm like, all of that kind of stuff, and what it means for people. I heard you all celebrate Juneteenth tomorrow, so I'm
that Black.
Yeah, so, we can celebrate Juneteenth every day, y'all, 24/7, but it's just those words, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And I think I'm hearing it more with gun laws, Roe versus Wade, like all of these things that are happening, you're hearing people use those phrases. So that we should talk about that today.
I think it was really interesting because it's Thomas Jefferson, sorry. I don't even know where I got Edison.
But he was a thing too.
That he chose those words. Like, isn't that like it was kind of, he chose those three words to kind of, those three words that stuck out the most within that. And now with a lot of these things going on, like I question our freedom a lot. Like I don't really consider us as free as we are supposed to be. So it's like, I really question that.
Yeah.
Well, here we go.
Let's go. I know this is a lot to put into one show, but we're gonna try to get through as much as we can with those phrases.
Yeah, here we go. So, here's my big thing, right? Every day we wake up, we are in the pursuit of happiness, and it just. I'm trying not to get on my soapbox, but it's hard. It's hard, My issue is this. Right now, we're in the middle of an inflation crisis. Mm-hmm. Everything is going up. What you paid for your smoothie, that price is going up. Mm-hmm. What you paid for your coffee, that price
definitely gone up.
Starbucks for sure getting their money.
Yeah.
But what hasn't gone up is people's paychecks.
Yes.
People's paychecks are still the same. Mm-hmm. And every day they wake up in the pursuit of happiness,
right?
Of what they are facing every single day. Mm-hmm. We were just talking about I got to buy milk every week, right? Mm-hmm. $95. And not only that, I have to search.
Yeah. Right.
Like I have to literally go searching for my 8-month-old son food.
How many cans are you buying for $95?
So, and that's only 5 cans.
That's crazy.
For $95.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? 5 cans, $95.
Wow.
And so for a week, right?
Right.
So now you gotta get through. And so thank God now he's getting more on baby food.
Right.
But even baby food has gone up, right? What used to be $1 for that cereal is now $2 and something, right? And so for me, it's like when you really look at life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, like we really got to look at like what's happening in our lives right now. Like there is so much struggle, but yet there is so much good.
Right.
And then liberty, aka freedom, like who is really free when you're bound every day to sitting at this job doing something that you really don't want to do, when you're bound to trying to fit into a culture that will cancel you at any given moment if you disagree with the majority of what people say on Twitter, right? Like who's really free?
Right.
And then this pursuit of happiness of trying to live your life and trying to be free is your pursuit of happiness. But we're dealing with so much mental atrocities right now. We're dealing with so much mental bondage right now. Like, people are really struggling with the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
They can't even get to happiness, and let alone the pursuit of it, right? So I'm pursuing to be happy every day, but I can't even get to the pursuit part because I'm still trying to figure out the life and the freedom part.
Yeah.
And I
But
think
that's just me, though.
I get it.
I think that it's like, even too, what is happiness? Like, I know it's supposed to, a lot of people say, look, I'm living the dream. And I always say, your dream or somebody else's dream. Because like, like you said, we're sitting at these jobs, we're building out somebody else's dream. I just have to, I clock in to build someone else's dream because I got to feed my family. You know, and it's like, is that happiness? Or am I just existing?
Right, and
Goodbye.
this is why this phrase has been so much on my mind, because I'm trying to put myself back during that time. Mind you, wasn't there, but trying to figure out like the intention of it. To me, that came because of the premise of the breakup. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We no longer want to be attached to British rule, so we are pursuing this dream of all people being free, which, be mindful of what was happening at that time when that phrase was even being mentioned about all are being created equal, being on this pursuit to happiness and life and liberty. To me, it was based off of the time. That's what was going on at that time. And so now that we've gone through history and we're now here in 2022, I struggle with those words because we're dealing with a country that can't even confess to the sins that they've committed to people that look like us. You know, we're living in a time now where you said prices are crazy. We've got people who are in political power who are making decisions who don't look like us, that it's impacting people who look like us in grave ways. So it's challenging. I'm one of the most positive people you know, but it's challenging to figure out, where do I fit in this life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness when every day I work extremely hard to try to achieve, but there's always something above me that makes it challenging. Rather it's my mental well-being, rather it's the cost of things, rather it's, trying to get jobs out there, being an entrepreneur. I don't get a paycheck every 2 weeks.
Ain't that the truth?
I don't even hardly get paid. I get paid in ebbs and flows. If it's there, I get paid. If it's not there, I don't get paid. And so, trying to live this American dream, of being, the entrepreneur who has and who is able to give and to, create this company through this media company or through the nonprofit with Juneteenth. But it's very challenging because there's always someone that's above you that either steps on your hands, or there's a reason why they can't get something done, or they don't pay you in time, like all of those things. So it gets challenging to really even be on the pursuit of happiness when every day you get there, then there's something that happens that pulls you back. And so it's really challenging. I think more so challenging now, living in the world of Roe versus Wade and the gun laws and all of these things that we're dealing with. I think that's why it just, for me,
that's why I'm
challenged in the moment.
Are we free?
My biggest thing is, like, we're hyped right now about Roe versus Wade, but we said nothing. What was it, 6 years ago, when the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act, which allowed for these terrible voting rights laws to go into effect in different states, which allowed for them to vote however they wanted to vote, to get who they wanted in office, to have what we have right now going on, right? Like this, like we gotta watch the setup. Like, this is these are 5-10 year plans into effect, right? And if we don't do our part of our pursuit of happiness, of our pursuit of life, of our pursuit of liberty, right? If we don't do our parts, we're going to end up in a world of hurt and just sitting back. I'll be honest, I don't understand y'all who don't vote. I'm sorry. I don't get it. I tried my best to understand. Somebody said voting doesn't affect me one way or another. Nothing I do, somebody can. I said that's not true.
Right.
Like, don't complain.
When you wake up in the morning and breathe, the air that you breathe is controlled by somebody who you voted for or didn't vote for. Let me explain why. The Supreme Court just recently ruled that the United States government can no longer tell states how to control their environmental concerns. So the EPA, which is a environmental agency ran by the federal government, can no longer tell states how they can run their air quality, which means that in certain places, in certain states, they can allow for worse air quality for you to breathe in than they can in other parts of the state. So my guess is, which part are they going to let go first?
Right.
Dun, 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 dun. The least of these, right? Right. Those who, the area code that ain't bringing them the most money, right?
Right.
So we can pull back on the air quality on there. We don't have to spend as much money because we don't make as much money from that neighborhood, right? So now we're wondering why the folks in that neighborhood are sicker than what they usually are. Now we take the grocery store out of that neighborhood as well, right? So we take the grocery store out of that neighborhood and we take their air quality away.
Right.
Now all they're eating is fast food and gas station food and breathing in bad air.
That's terrible.
Like, what happens now?
Right.
And then we wondering how, why is crime risen in this neighborhood? Oh, maybe it's because something's going on with their mental because of the air quality that they're breathing.
Now they're not healthy.
Yeah. Now they're going back and forth to the doctor. Now they can't keep a job. Now they're upset. Jobs are getting worse. They're not getting paid what they should be getting paid. Bills are getting higher. Food is more expensive. Gas is $5 a gallon. It's like, what do I do?
Keeps layering, like everything keeps
it does.
And y'all keep saying this on the Supreme Court. We're literally allowing 9 people that we did not vote for to tell us what we can and cannot do. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, me and one of my friends was having a discussion, and she's like, last year, or the last 2 years when we were given all the stimulus money, it was all good. Now they're making us pay it back in different ways.
I called that when we got it. I said when we got it. I said that. Yes.
Right now.
So they knew what was going to happen.
I said
all
that.
Of that money
Yes.
that was fluxed into the economy is now matriculating.
They wasn't just giving it to us because they felt good for to be good.
They gave it because they knew. I tell people all the time, I said, y'all getting happy about this money. It's not free. You will pay for this. And it came sooner than I thought. But you're going to pay for that because that's the makeup of what we've got going on. So when we talk about this life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, what we do, and I'm going to say this again, we are a reactionary country. So now Roe versus Wade's got our attention. But guess what? In 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something else, it's going to be something else that grabs our attention, because what I still believe is we the people do not understand the power in which we possess. I just don't think that we do. I think we say it out loud, like, oh yeah, I know my vote matters, I can do this, but I don't think we fully understand what happens when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired and what you can actually do to make change.
I'm going to say this and then we'll take a break. A lot of people were laughing because I did this video with Deidre the other day where I jumped out of her trunk, right? I hopped out of her trunk, and it was a play off of the Where the Money Resides video, right? So I hopped out of her trunk, and I was talking about, hey, we know you know where the money resides, but are you ready to organize, right? To be honest, organizing takes work. And people are concerned about rent, mortgage, light bill,
groceries,
gas in the car, groceries, daycare, trying to feed a baby, and all of this other stuff. All this other stuff that it's like, I don't have the mental capacity to do anything else. And it's like, what? And people are sitting back licking their chops because they're happy. They're happy at the fact that you don't have the capacity to do anything else, because now they can run a gambit on you, and you're blind to it. Now they can make any law, any rule, any policy that they want, because you're not going to show up and vote them out. You're not going to say anything or organize to get them to cause a movement to remove them. And so because of that, they're like, hey, we're going to keep doing what we're doing, giving contracts to those who we want to give contracts to, and we're going to make money off of people suffering. And that really sucks. But thank y'all for continuing to tune in to us. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back on the Urban Impact Show.
Great conversation.
The Urban Impact Show is sponsored by Green & Wood Media Services. Green & Wood uses digital media to help businesses, political campaigns, and organizations grow while increasing their community impact. Green & Wood Media is pleased to offer a digital media buying fellowship to train, develop, and mentor young people interested in digital media, politics, and advertising. Learn more at greenandwoodmedia.com. Welcome back to the Urban Impact Show, where we have been talking about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, kind of fitting for getting ready to celebrate
The 4th
of July. Before we go on what we're really going to talk about, that's my question. Do you celebrate the 4th of July?
Yeah, we get together and do fireworks and, like fellowship with family and barbecue, just kind of like the normal for the kids.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. We do the same thing. I guess I'm not so big off of days anymore. Our traditions are what they are. So I'm not going to say that it's in total celebration of. I'm not toting around the American flag hanging from my doorstep or anything or any of that stuff. But, it's the tradition of the food, the family to me is what more is important.
Having that day off of work.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Having that day free. So I want to talk a little bit about guns, because I know we hear when you're talking about life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and it's my liberty, it's my freedom, it's my right
to have a gun,
to be able to carry. And so that I get it, but I'm still not quite there with this gun issue and where we are in the United States. So let's just talk a little bit about, what are your thoughts on that?
So I remember a few weeks ago when we had the conversation about guns and like who should be able to use a gun, because I do feel we should all be able to protect ourselves and have a gun, especially in how the world is going now. But I remember last time you said something about why don't they do some type of mental evaluation? I don't know if it was you or it was you, to do some type of mental evaluation before giving the guns to somebody. Like, how we have to apply for our passports, do a background check, do all of those things, because
Right.
it's pretty serious. You know, where are you going to get people to be able to buy guns off the street, but maybe kind of like try to police a little bit more than
Right.
you just giving anybody a gun.
Yeah.
Do like some type of background check or something, because, you know, that's when it gets bad to where like just anyone having a gun. But
Yeah.
I think we should be able to have guns. Like
Right.
I want a gun, but I need to learn how to shoot it because I'm scared of it.
Yeah.
So I need to be taught and do all the right things first
Yeah.
before I can go get a gun. But I
Yeah.
think you should.
No, I'm with you. I think responsible
Yes.
individuals should be allowed to carry guns. I've been to the gun range a few times. I'm not a fan of them, though. I will just tell you
Does it
that.
scare you?
It does. It makes me nervous. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if I really want the responsibility of having one.
Yeah.
Do I like the fact that if I had to grab one to shoot one, I definitely probably
Right.
could with more practice. But no, I've gone through the whole class of, you know, going through it, being at the range, learning and everything. And, you know, I think, you know, there's some people that tell me you should carry a gun. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it just doesn't feel right
Well,
to me.
I have friends that have it in their purse like lipstick.
Yeah.
You know, like there's
Yep.
like really small guns. Like one of my peers at work showed me, like they have really, really small guns, like a women's side gun
Right.
that you can carry in your purse. And like
Oh,
I have
yeah.
a friend that just throws it in her purse, and it's like at the bottom of her purse. That would scare the heck out of me.
I know.
Because I have a toddler and he's always playing around. He likes guns. Like he plays
Yeah.
with water guns and fake guns with the little rubber bullets. So he's so infatuated with
Right.
it because he's like a boy that I would be afraid to have that because
Yeah.
he would think it's a fake gun. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
No, I get exactly what you're saying. I think what we're seeing now is, I think I just seen this morning, there was a mass shooting, maybe somewhere in another country. I get these little feeds that pop up on my phone all the time. But what I feel like is happening is we're attempting to put a Band-Aid over a bigger issue. So now we've got, you know, the Democrats and Republicans have come together. They've created, you know, some things saying that you can now be 21. I think it might be finalized 21 instead of 18, you know, to purchase a gun. But I still believe that we need to do more. I don't think we've quite figured this out. And especially if you look at other countries compared to us, United States, I know, is in that bottom tier of countries that our gun laws just aren't great and
you know,
safe.
a lot of countries, a lot of their kids go to the army and the military like right after high school. So they have to be taught how to go to combat and, you know, use a gun. So maybe that's why it's kind of a little different here than it's there, because I had teammates that when they graduated high school, they were from other countries, maybe like Europe. They graduated high school, they went to the army and they were taught how to shoot a gun and do all those things before they can go to college. You had to go to the army, then go to college or whatever. So I think they teach their kids very early how to use guns and how to use them the right way.
Responsibly.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely responsibly. I think here it's become this thing of anyone can get a gun if they need a gun. You know, rather you go through the proper channels and get a background check or whatever, or you just getting a gun off of the streets, which I think is really sad, because what we're now becoming as a society is if I don't agree with you, there is no discussion of disagreement. There is no going out in the backyard and, you know, having this good old fist fight or something. Now the gun is the answer. And what bothers me so much about guns is the impacts that it makes on both ends. As the person who is going to solve their problems that way, I'm now at a point where my life is potentially over. Eventually you get caught. Or on the other end, you've ended somebody else's life. And I think we just need to tighten up the laws. And again, guns with everything else has become so political. You know, guns is now it's my right to carry. I'm not disputing it's your right. But what I am disputing is what are we going to do with the individuals who believe it's their right to carry, but they don't have the mental capacity to carry.
Seriously.
Their mental capacity isn't what it is that they have a gun. So now we've given them a gun, and then guess what happens? Like you had out in New York with the grocery store shootings. You have in Texas, you know, at the school where there was this shooting. You have it all over. I think I've lived a life now, and probably you could say the same, where it's become a norm for us here. The prayer is that it doesn't happen in our space.
It happens at a church.
Like
that is
like
you would
nothing
never think
sacred.
A school, a church, the grocery store. Like that's scary. And then you even think about police. They use it the wrong way. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they use their authority the wrong way. You know what I mean? Like all the killings that we've had within the past, I would say 7 to 10 years, with police using their guns the wrong way. You know what I mean? It's like that's why normal patrons are using their guns. If the police can just do what they want to with guns, they probably feel like, why can't we?
Right. The whole idea of having the gun for that self-defense has kind of gone out the door. And then you get nervous. Like I said, again, it goes back to the wrong people having these hands of guns. And so I try to ask myself what we should do about it. So what would be, if someone just said to you, hey, whatever you want to do with gun laws, we're going to do whatever you say. What would your approach be to the guns?
So I think that, you know, kind of like we talked about, like you should have like a deeper background check. You should, like, the wrong people should not be able to have guns. And it's like, even policing that in itself, you should have a psych eval. Like, it should be a long process. Not I can go online and take a gun class over the weekend and then go and purchase a gun. It needs to be like a longer process. Like how they take you through, like for us to go to another country, it's this long drawn out process, and we kind of don't even if you owe child support, you can't go to another country. So it's like, why can you buy a gun then? And you know what I mean? Like, so I think it should be a longer process. They should really sit out and vet somebody, like mentally, their background, and like the evaluation, you have to go through certain steps. And honestly, it probably will stop certain people. Because people who don't have like a really good mental capacity, they're probably not going to go through all these steps. You know what I mean? So I think that that process needs to change. It shouldn't be so easy for you to go and apply for a gun and get a license if you are not mentally sound, if you don't pass a background check, if you have like things on your record that's going to hold you back from it, because that shows that you're not responsible. You know, if you have all these things on your record, so why should you be able to hold a gun?
My process was very easy. I got my card for a right to carry before it became, you know, this, whatever the laws changed. But literally all I did was went through an online class, and I got this card that said, and I keep it with me, that I have the right to carry. And I think what we need to do is treat, like, if it truly is a right to carry a gun, if that's the right that we have, and that's our freedom and our right to carry, then make people go through the process to earn that right. Like, when you get a driver's license, you don't jump off the gate at 14 with a driver's license in your hand. You have to go through a class, you have to be tested, you might get picked to take the larger driver's test when you go to the DOT, but it always amazes me how in this country we set up all of these things that happen. If I go to school and I want my doctorate, I don't get my doctorate on day one. I got to go through the process and take the class. It takes years.
So why should you be able to get a gun?
So why is it takes me years to receive a degree or to get a doctorate, but it takes me a matter of maybe weeks to be able to get a gun?
You can do a weekend class.
Class. So it's really, you can do a weekend class to have it and possess it. So I think that's the problem I have with the gun laws, is if it's truly the right, then make it the right. Make me earn that I've went through everything from my background check to my mental capacity check to my taking the class to make sure that, you know, I know how to use this and keep it safe and safeguard it from younger kids and whatever, and being able to do that. But take me through the process. And I think for me, that's what I struggle with, is we don't have a good process for that. And so I think we really need to figure out what it's going to look like. But I think what we're doing is just putting this Band-Aid. What we're doing now is we're reacting to the incidences that have taken place, and we're saying, okay, we're going to, just to make y'all happy, we're going to do just a little bit, because we don't want to upset all the folks, the NRA, I think it is, or all of these people who feel like you do have the constitutional right to carry, we'll say that. So I'm not against it. I'm just saying, let's stop giving them out. And then I know the whole getting them off of the streets and, you know, not getting them in the wrong hands of young people, that's a whole nother, you know, situation that we have to deal with. But I think there is a way to get it done. The unfortunate part is we have completely
And it almost seems like you said, they put a Band-Aid over it. It's not really a priority. They're just doing just enough. But every time there's a mass shooting or something, then it's like the discussion comes up and everyone's all going crazy about it. But it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it goes back to the fact that we sit on things until it explodes. It explodes, then we all want to scramble. How about taking the approach to scramble before it happens so that we can have something in place?
And it's like, most of the last presidents is always a priority, but that one thing never gets handled while everyone's in office. You know, even when Obama was in office, unfortunately, it's like everything that doesn't get handled. So I wonder why. Like, is there too many people fighting against it? Like, what is? I always feel like there's conspiracy behind the scenes things with the presidents anyway. But I feel like what is going on behind the scenes to where this is not like are we going to wait for another mass shooting, another school shooting to happen? Like, are we going to continue to wait for those things? Another black man to die? You know, for us, another black woman to die? You know, like, I don't know.
It's a lot of backdoor conversations, I think, that happen that we are never privy to that happen behind the scenes. But unfortunately, it's not doing anything, in my opinion, to help us as a whole. Like this issues of guns is always going to still take place because there's no one willing to, I won't say there's no one, there probably is someone, but they get kind of smashed by the greater majority. But we need people to be able to stand up against that greater majority so that we're able to make these changes and make it to where it is for. We technically really don't need everyone around here carrying a gun.
Absolutely not.
We really do not need that. And so I think we have to do a better job.
And I think like lots of the times with this show, I always like to say like we want to provide to our viewers in the community like what can you do? Because we think big picture, like what we need to do in the world, what the president needs to do. Obviously, we can't solve that today, but to our viewers, like if you are someone who has, you know, you feel like you have the mental capacity to be that responsible to carry a gun, go get the proper training. Go, you know, take the classes. Don't just buy a gun off the street. Go take the classes. Go to the gun range. If you feel like you want to protect your family, protect yourself, go learn about the type of guns that you can have. Like, you know, the small, you know, handguns. If you're a woman, the small little gun that you can put in your purse, but learn about it first. You know, go take the class. They have online classes. They have classes, I'm sure, at the gun range. Go educate yourself that way. And I'll think about what we can do. You know, we can talk all day about what the president can do or what, you know, what we can do in the world, but I like to tell our viewers, like, think about what you can do to kind of help.
Yeah, no, I agree. Your individual responsibility is to educate yourself. And so I'm not here to tell you, go get one, don't go get one. That's not my fight.
Yourself.
That's my thing. I always say before you go do something, educate yourself and know what your comfortability is. If I went and got a gun just because everyone told me I needed one, which I've had people tell me you need one, it just doesn't feel comfortable to me. So it doesn't mean that I didn't educate myself, I didn't take the classes, I learned those things, but it just doesn't feel comfortable to me. Now our co-host Rob, who's not with us, he's carrying today, you know, I mean, and that's
he's responsible.
He's responsible with it.
He's comfortable with it. I know for me, I need to, because I'm scared, I need to go take the classes. So if you're someone like that, like me, go take the classes or go to the gun range, get some girls, some of your friends together, or guys, get some of your buddies together, go to the gun range and learn, you know, how to use a gun.
Nope, just learn about it. So we could talk about guns the rest of the show, but we're going to stop with that. The biggest thing that we want you all to do is educate yourself. Know what's right for you, what works for you. Don't listen to everyone else, but you have control over what works best for you. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with the Urban Impact Show. Welcome back to the Urban Impact Show, where we have been talking about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We've talked a little bit about everything today, from our thoughts on what that phrase means to talking a little bit about gun control, or gun laws, I should say, or the impact the guns are having on our country. And we're just going to end now with our final thoughts. That hour always goes fast. It just doesn't take any time. We try to hold true to our 5 to 6 time, no matter what. So, Brittany, just share your final thoughts with us this evening.
I always think about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I think about the movie, The Pursuit of Happiness, and kind of what Will felt about that phrase, and just kind of how some of the things he did in living his life in the movie. I still kind of go back to, like, as we talk about and kind of hone in on that free part, I don't think we are free with some of the changes and things that are happening. So I think it's always good for you to decide what happiness means to you within kind of what we're doing, with what's going on in the world. I don't think that in our heads, happiness, you think white picket fence, perfect life, having a wife, husband, family, kids, but I would encourage you viewers to kind of start thinking about what happiness means to you outside of that, because that doesn't hold true to everybody. And it doesn't mean that you don't have a great family dynamic or your life isn't good, but we can't focus kind of on maybe like what it's supposed to be as far as American dream, and kind of start thinking about your own, how can you make your own American dream throughout that? But I think that phrase them putting those 3 words together, I kind of always wonder, like, what was he thinking, when he put all 3 of those words together? Because I don't think we're free. I don't even think back then. I think freedom looked different to them, than it is now. But I think just kind of adding those 3 words together when you kind of think about your freedom and happiness doesn't really go.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. That's why it still holds true to me, even as we're having the conversation, and it will in the days to come, of just about life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And I think the one thing I find out is just history changes all the time. And so I'm sure that meaning meant something different to probably my parents and their parents and their parents, of kind of taking that phrase and, labeling it out. And while I still believe we have a long ways to go, definitely we're not where we were all that time ago. We, things are decent. Now I'll put it that way. I'll say that things are decent, but I think we still have a long ways to go. And I think our biggest problem is, and this is one thing I heard, so I love to listen to pastors, but T.D. Jakes said, we are in an ideological warfare, meaning it's the ideas in which we have that we're fighting over. We're fighting over ideas because everyone thinks
who has the best idea.
Yeah, we think like, who has the best idea to get somewhere? And so for me, what I'm encouraging people is we have to find a way to work together despite our differences. Like, what's the best human good? We're looking at it from, left, right, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Independent.
What's right for the greater good?
Yeah, but what's right for the greater good of humanity? Like, if we could think about that when you're thinking about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, like, what's the impact for human beings?
I like that.
And I think if we could shift that to stop being concerned about all those labels we carry, and if we could just say, human being to human being, would I want my child to have to be worried about going into the school and something happening and being shot? No. Okay, then if we can just agree on that, then I think we could get a path to creating some laws that make that not happen. Do we like the fact that our people are working consistently and they're still living in poverty? No, because in humanity, I don't want anyone to live, that can't afford to pay their bills and all of this. So then what can we do to help that? And I think that's where we missed the mark. And maybe that's why it's challenging for me with this whole life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, because I feel like we've left treating people like human beings. If what they said when they broke up from the British back then of the Declaration of Independence was, we want all men to be created equal, like, parts of me think they really meant that, even though the time wasn't good for people that looked like me back then. But I gotta believe someone along the way meant they really want us to all be treated equally and fairly. But what we've done is we as a society has twisted and turned that to make it something that I just don't know if that was meant. So I don't care if you celebrate 4th of July tomorrow or not. It doesn't matter to me if you're a staunch American and that day means something to you, because it will mean something different for me.
Yeah.
It's going to mean something different for you. But all I want us to do as a country is to continue to educate ourselves. And I'm going to keep saying this every show when I have the chance: vote.
Vote.
It is so important to get out and vote, because there are things that are happening that if you don't go out and vote because you're mad at what happened, there will be more individuals like them that will come.
Yep.
And they will do things that are worse than what we're dealing with now. And that's what I want to leave people with: is you have the right to educate yourself. You have the right to vote for whom you want to. I'm not going to argue with you with whomever you vote for.
Right.
If you believe that's the person, that's the person. I'm not even going to tell you who to vote for. But I really think that voting makes an impact. And I keep saying I'll be interested to see what November looks like since Roe versus Wade is kind of went down. How are the people going to respond? Are they going to respond in a way that says, nope, we need change? Or are they going to respond in a way and says, it doesn't matter if you know what happens. My vote doesn't matter
And this
anyway.
big discussion is this still going to be here?
Right.
And impact their decision making in November.
Exactly. That's going to be the thing. So I encourage you all. Change starts within your community, and then it just kind of grows out. And like you said, we're so busy focused on the bigger change of Washington and all of this. That's not the change I'm talking about. But what can you do within your own city, within your own state, within your own community to start to make a change? So that's what we want for you here at the Urban Impact Show. We're going to continue to have conversations. We're going to continue to have conversations that educate you. We're going to continue to have conversations where we all might not even agree on topics, but we're going to be able to have those conversations in a civil fashion to where we want to be the example of what those conversations look like. So we want you to join us next week. We're going to be talking about defunding the police. It's been another hot topic that everyone's been talking about, and we want to break down for you what that truly means. And then hopefully we'll have some guests on the show that will also be able to contribute to that conversation. So whatever you're doing today, whatever you're doing tomorrow, I'm hoping you're able to spend it with the ones you love. And we'll see you next week on the Urban Impact Show.
Have a good holiday, everybody.